Tyree Wilson finished the 2022 season with 61 tackles, 7 sacks, 14 tackles for loss for Texas Tech. Here's a good fun fact for you. Of the 126 FBF players to rush the passer at least 200 times, Wilson tied for the second best pressure rate of the bunch. Wilson, 6'6", 275 pounds. He has all the physical attributes an NFL coach would love to work with. As we take a look at Ryan Wilson's latest mock draft here, you see Wilson there at number 5. With this one, no real trades. Ryan Wilson, we'll speak to him in a second. He said, most likely that won't be reality, but with the Senior Bowl, Super Bowl, Combine, free agency, there's no rush on hitting every draft trade possibility at this time. Now joined by our draft expert, Ryan Wilson, our former GM, Rick Spielman, coming to us from Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl officially taking place on Saturday, February 4th, but each day leading up, it brings new observations. So what have your impressions been of Texas Tech's Tyree Wilson to this point? I know he's not practicing, but you've been able to talk to him. Ryan, we'll start with you.
Oh, he is incredibly long. Rick and I had a chance to talk with him yesterday at the stadium. And you meet him, and you're taken aback at how long he is in terms of that 6'6" frame. But more than that, he is an incredibly nice young man, very soft-spoken, respects his elders. Both me and Rick, I'll include both of us in that. And that leaves an impression for sure. And I liked him a lot coming into the Senior Bowl, but Rick's been high on him since September. So I watched a few more games before we got here to Mobile, and I saw exactly what Rick was on, and anyone who watches Tyree will come away with the same impression. He's a special talent, and you feel like when you watch him play that he hasn't even tapped into all the abilities he has inside that frame of his. And when he gets to the next level, he's going to somehow be even better than he was at Texas Tech when, as you noted in that fun fact, Jenny, he was dominant nearly snap after snap after snap. So I'm glad we got a chance to meet him in person, got a chance to talk to him, and it changed nothing about my impression of him as a football player, but only enhanced my impressions of him as a person, which is also incredibly important as we go through this process.
Yeah, and just to chime in off of that, Ryan, is the tape speaks for itself because all these players down here, all the players that we've evaluated, that's their resume. So everybody has done the tape on this player and knows what a special talent this kid is right now. And he's got such a high ceiling that he's even going to get better when he gets to the NFL level. And you can't teach his size. You can't teach his length. And the one thing that sticks out about guys that are this talented, if they play as hard as this kid does, and after me and Ryan got an opportunity to shake his hand and talk to him a little bit, he was a phenomenal young man. And as a general manager, if I can get a player with that much talent on our roster that is also probably even a better person, you almost cannot miss on a guy like this.
That's why I feel like the Senior Bowl is so important. You've seen the tape, but to really see their character in person could really be changing for them in so many ways. And for him specifically, moving from Texas Tech to going from Texas A&M to Texas Tech in 2020, it worked out really well. So we are going to move on now. We know that not all of the players attend the Senior Bowl, of course, but when you're looking at who is there, who are some of the top pass rushers when you're looking at the group right in front of you?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start with Keon White, the defensive end from Georgia Tech. He was a transfer from Old Dominion. He actually came in as a tight end, outgrew that position. They flipped him over to the defensive side of the ball. I think the first year he played defense, he had 19 tackles for loss. Then he transferred down to Georgia Tech. This kid is long, but he's a thickly built kid. He's over 280 pounds and is extremely strong. And when you watch him explode out of his stance down here, he really jolts the offensive lineman, especially in the one-on-one pass drills that we've been watching. The other thing that's going to be intriguing to a lot of teams is not only can he rush from the outside, but they also will slide him inside in pass rush situations, and he was dominating a lot of the guards down here. So if you draft this player, and I understand he's a high character, high quality individual with a tremendous upside, but you're also going to be able to use him as an outside or as an inside pass rusher.
Yeah, Rick, White certainly brings that versatility. You mentioned he's over 280 pounds. The guy I've been keeping my eye on this week, and I think he's had a pretty good week after a really good season for Tennessee, is Byron Young. And he's only about 245-ish, 250, so a full 35 plus pounds lighter than Keion White. So his role is going to be outside. He's going to be more 5 tech, maybe even 7 tech. And what we've seen from him, and you see he's listed there at about 6'3", he might be a shade shorter than that with the official measurements, is that even though he's only 245-ish, he consistently collapses the pocket when he goes up against these offensive tackles and one-on-one drills because he's shorter. He's a little squattier. And he's a little more stout at the point of attack, and that shows up in those one-on-one drills. If he were, for example, 6'5", 245, we'd have some questions about that strength, but that doesn't show up not only on tape but also in person when we watch him live, and I've been impressed with what he's been able to do. He's a little older, and I don't know if that'll affect his draft stock or not, but I love the way he's played both here in Mobile and during the season for the Volunteers, and he feels like a day 2 guy for me right now. We'll continue to go through this process. We have a few months to go here, but I've been impressed so far with Byron Young.
When you look at the top pass rushers going into this draft class, it really is a deep group, not everyone at the Senior Bowl, of course. So when you look at who is at the top of that list, Rick, who is the top pass rusher, would you say? I think we all know your answer here.
Yeah, yeah, Tyree Wilson. No, I'm going to go with Will Anderson. I still think he has some special traits to him. He was not as productive this year, but you can't teach this guy's size and length. When you look at him on tape, everybody's going to wonder how much he weighs, but I've seen him in person a couple times this fall. He is a really thickly built lower body kid. His lower body almost looks like a running back, so he doesn't have those skinny stick legs like some people that I know on this call do. But he can definitely rush the passer. He can play from a 2-point or 3-point stance. Some teams will look at him as a 34 outside linebacker, but I think if you're dropping him in coverage, you're wasting what he does best, and that's affect the quarterback. As you go down through some of those lists, Tyree Wilson we talked about. We're going to talk about Myles Murphy, who I think is behind Tyree Wilson right now. He's a Clemson kid, another long athletic kid, and when you watch him on tape, he can run. He doesn't play as hard every snap to me that Tyree Wilson does as far as when you watch his motor on the tape. But this guy is going to get drafted very high as well just because of his upside and potential. And then there's 2 guys, I think, back in the bottom of that list. Ojulari, whose brother was drafted, I believe, by the New York Giants. Him, and he's at LSU. And also the other kid is Nolan Smith. Both of those guys are a little bit undersized. They play from a 2-point. Some teams may designate them as what we call DPRs, designated pass rushers. So on 3rd down, they'll bring the teams will bring him in and let him rush the quarterback off the edge. But both of these guys are excellent bursts, excellent athletes. And I think these are the top 5 for me.
Before we move on, I have a very serious question. The skinny legs, were you referring to me or to Ryan Wilson? Who's got the skinny legs here of this group?
Jeremy.
He's not even here to defend himself right now, so that makes it even better. All right, you mentioned Myles Murphy out of Clemson. Now, you, Ryan Wilson, you had him going to, let me double check here, the Detroit Lions. Why do you think that would be a good fit?
Well, they drafted Aiden Hutchinson last year early in that first round, and Aiden Hutchinson had a fantastic rookie season, including 3 interceptions somehow as an edge rusher / defensive end. And why not add more pass rush firepower along that front 4? And we heard Rick talk about Myles Murphy and how he's behind Tyree Wilson. I think we all agree on that. But he's thick-bodied. He's similar in size. He actually weighs a little more, probably 10 more pounds than Aiden Hutchinson does. So he's a guy that can set the edge against the run. He's incredibly young. He just turned 21 a few weeks ago. So he is raw, and he is learning the position. And I think part of what Rick's talking about in terms of he's not always on play in and play out is him trying to figure out what to do. And I think as he grows as a football player, as he grows in understanding what his role is, he will be there'll be less opportunities for him to think about things and just to go after it and do it. And I love the idea of him bookending Aiden Hutchinson on that front 4. And look, Rick knows this better than anyone. The Lions' offensive line is fine. They don't need any help there. Their quarterback situation appears to be settled. That offense appears to be humming. So now they can fix the defense, and they'll have 2 first-round picks to do it, starting early here with that number 6 overall pick.
Yeah, Murphy reportedly posting a 35-inch vertical, running in the high 4.5s. It's just a freak athlete out there. Now, Ryan, you had the Vikings taking B.J. Ojulari with the 23rd pick of the draft. And as Rick said, it's a familiar name. B.J. is the younger brother of the edge rusher and former second-rounder Azeez Ojulari, who did go to the Giants. What do you like about B.J., Ryan?
Yeah, and Rick touched on it. He's a high motor guy, sideline to sideline guy, never takes a play off. Doesn't matter where the ball is in the football field. He's going to go try and chase down the football and whoever's happening to be carrying it. And that shows up consistently. He had a few injuries throughout the season, but when he was on the field, he was electric. And that's what you want. That's what you're looking for in an edge rusher, someone who plays with their hair on fire. And as Rick talked about, he's probably a little more explosive than his brother Aziz. Aziz had a knee injury coming into his draft, and he fell to the second round. There were some conversations that maybe he would sneak into late first round, but I think BJ has an opportunity to certainly be a top 40 guy, even if he doesn't make it at the tail end of the first round. He could be one of the first names off the board on day 2, all because of the way he plays and gets after it. And you can put him in there as a designated pass rusher, as Rick was talking about with Nolan Smith, and give him opportunities just to get after the quarterback and not have to think about anything else as he eases his way into the NFL.
I was able to cover BJ a few times this year, and the brothers, they always make time to watch each other. BJ told me that a tip he learned from Aziz was to always keep a consistent stance so they can't redo. I love that they watch each other's game and give each other the feedback. Good brotherly love there, just like the love that we have right here on CBS Sports HQ. Fellas, appreciate your time. Enjoy Mobile, Alabama. The countdown definitely continues as we are looking forward to the draft. For the latest in all of what's going on, you got to listen to the two of them. Together, you never know what's going to happen. It's With the First Pick. It's one of our new podcasts on CBS Sports. And trust me, you do not want to miss it.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.